Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside Man United. My name is Rowan Brennan and we got a little bit of a new setup. I can see it, you guys can't obviously, but even just the screen, doing a dual screen here, I'm going to be able to show the news and different articles and bits and pieces that I'm speaking about. It's just going to allow me to produce content a little bit more consistently and far more quickly. And I hope you guys like the look and the layout. If you don't, if you have any comments, if there's anything that you'd like to improve, please leave it down below in the comments and let me know. But hopefully this is a good start. And of course, I'm always looking to make little improvements to make sure I can get this stuff out to you guys as well as I can and in the best quality I can, both with the audio and with how I'm able to show these things to you. So yeah, let me know what you think of the new setup. I'd really appreciate the feedback. I've got Eric this way, keeping me company as a bit of a kind of a screen share until I get my news up. Happy days. Okay, so let's kick things off. Mason Greenwood, doing reasonably well in Spain with Getafe. Seems to have hit the ground running, getting his fitness back up. And I think he's been reasonably good in terms of output and trying to set up chances for the other players in the team. But it seems that they just have not been able to put the ball in the back of the net. They're not hugely strong going forward, hence why they got Mason Greenwood in the first place. I think they thought it was a little bit of a coup. And I would certainly agree. The talent that this guy has is massive. And it seems to be going reasonably okay for him. He just got off the mark in a 1-1 draw, got his first goal for the club recently, and yeah, seemed to be smiles all around for him with his teammates. Very, very happy for him. So yeah, it looks like Jamaica are looking to offer him a chance to come back into the international fold, with England having so many options up front, even the likes of, great talents like Jadon Sancho not getting a look in, Jared Bowen starting to really kind of show the value that he has, Callum Wilson, Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling, I could just keep rattling them off. Jack Grealish, Marcus Rashford, Phil Foden. There's just so many players that can take up those forward positions. And yeah, it could be an option for him. A lot of other players have kind of taken the opportunity to go abroad and play for countries in their heritage. So Jamaica boss, Heimir Hallgrimsson, wants the 21-year-old to commit his future to the Reggae Boys. Incredible name for an international team. I absolutely love it. Similarly to how the likes of Ethan Pinnock, Damari Gray, and Michael Antonio have done of late, of course. So lots of kind of players that are based in England, sound English, have grown up in England, but of course with some sort of Jamaican or Caribbean background that they've been able to take advantage of. Of course, we know Wilfred Zaha. He went to the Ivory Coast as well. So he said, we'd like to have the best talent on our team. If he gets his former fitness levels up, there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to have a place to help Jamaica. Then the article just goes into, all the previous stuff that we know about the Mason Greenwood case. But yeah, looks like Jamaica are very interested in taking Mason Greenwood off the English FA's hands. Yeah, let's see if he does it. It's absolutely an option for the kid. Let's see how his career gets back on track, where he goes. He might just want to leave all the fuss from England and all the stuff that's going on behind him, and that might include on an international level as well. Because, as we all know from David Beckham, you've probably seen his documentary recently. The way the media can react to players on the England side is truly horrific. Regardless of what they've done. Burning effigies of David Beckham because he got sent off because Diego Simeone decided to dive. It's a pretty rough cauldron to have to deal with, especially as a young lad. So, could be an option for him, but interesting. Let's see how things develop there for Mason. Speaking of David Beckham, it looks like David Beckham is still very much interested in getting his boys in Qatar. Obviously, he has a strong relationship with the Qatari family, given his work at the previous World Cup. And it looks like Beckham is in line for a surprise new job with Man United if the Qatari takeover bid is successful. Of course, David Beckham was interviewed recently about his thoughts on the current malaise of the club, the current owners, things like that. And he made some kind of, suggestive comments that he knows the right people that could take this club in the right direction. And it seems that that's the case. And of course, if he was, or if the Sheikh was successful in his takeover of the club, of course David Beckham would be brought back. He's an absolute legend of the club. Anyone that's too young to remember David Beckham playing for the club, he was absolutely fantastic. He was a desperately underrated player, even by me at the time. I knew he was so good. I loved David Beckham, but you know, you're looking at Ronaldinho's and all these other players and Zidane's, and this is what you think a great footballer is. And besides the kind of the free kicks and the pinpoint crosses, like, you know, was he particularly fast? Was he an intricate dribbler and all that kind of stuff? But Scholes wasn't a dribbler. He wasn't full of tricks, but he just had an incredible shot on him and could pick out a pass and just had a great footballing brain. David Beckham was exactly the same. He was an absolute joy to watch, and we were very lucky to have him. He formed some fantastic relationships with various members of the team, whether it was Ruud van Nistelrooy, Gary Neville. He was fantastic. It really, really was. So it looks like the takeover, you know, it's starting to kind of gain momentum, but sure, 11 months on, we've been saying the same thing every few months. The Sheikh is obviously only interested in doing a full takeover deal. There are rumors that the Glazers are also interested in that, despite Sir Jim Ratcliffe's kind of late bid to kind of give them a little part ownership in the club. It looks like a full takeover is what the Sheikh wants. Apparently, there was a statement made by Sheikh Jassim recently regarding that they want a full takeover and nothing else. So let's see what happens there. But if they did take over, I would love to see Mr. Beckham back in the halls of Manchester, a revamped, redone halls of Manchester. I think that place needs a bit of a lick of paint and a bit of a revamp. So yeah, it'd be great to see him back. In more worrying news, whether it's true, worrying Man United rumor emerges from disgusted dressing room amid Jadon Sancho spat. So Alan Brazil on TalkSport was talking about a leak from the dressing room. One of his contacts within the club, Brazil, made the sensational claim on TalkSport. He told co-host Ali McCoist, "Do you know what, Ali? And I know you've got to be careful what you report on. This is only what I heard from a United player who told someone we know very well." So someone he knows that told someone else that told someone else. Okay. He said the players are not having the manager. They're not having him. Definitely not. By all accounts, they're disgusted at the way he treated Cristiano. And they say Sancho is a great guy who works his socks off. So I don't know who to believe, to be honest. I know who to believe. It ain't him, and it ain't his contacts. Listen, we saw all the kind of the English press. Oh, it's a disgrace how he's managed Cristiano Ronaldo, a legend of the game. How dare he? Yeah, and the team went on to have a great run of form. Came third in the league, won a trophy. Should have won a lot more, to be quite honest. And at one stage, actually looked like they could have put on a bit of a late charge for the league title, which was obviously a little bit too much to expect. But listen, the players responded very well to Ten Hag and his methods after Cristiano had left. So if that was true, I think the tools would have been downed and we would be seeing, you know, a despondent team far sooner than now. It would have happened a year ago when Cristiano left originally. Jadon Sancho, while he might be popular among some of the English players within the squad, he hasn't done anything at United to warrant this kind of attention or this kind of caring from the fans or the board or anyone else. He scored 12 goals in 82 games, folks. You know? So, or it's 20 goals in 82 games, something like this. It's not great. Jadon Sancho has done the square root of very little since he came to the club. And if he left, I wouldn't care, to be honest. He's not going to be missed. His output is not something we're going to miss. We have dealt with him in the club while he's been pocketing 300 grand a week. So he hasn't been doing enough to justify it. So if he's gone, that's 300 grand a week. That's 15 million quid a year back in United's pocket without having to deal with all this bullshit surrounding Jadon Sancho. Listen, by all accounts, he seems to be a nice lad. He seems to be reasonably popular, but from a professionalism standpoint, he just doesn't seem to have it. And nice guys don't get a starting place in the first 11, and particularly ones that have had this. And he said the players aren't having him; they're not having him. Okay. He says somewhere else here that he works his socks off. Yeah, the way he treated, and they say Sancho is a great guy who works his socks off. Listen, He was given shit about his work rate by Gareth Southgate at England level and was dropped from the England squad. He was given shit about his work rate at the under-21s level, given shit about his work rate at Dortmund. And now he's been given shit about his work rate at United under not only Ollie and Rangnick, but now Ten Hag. So the evidence is there to say he doesn't work his socks off. Multiple managers at multiple clubs, both at club and international level, have all said the same thing. Are they all out to get Sancho? Is he a scapegoat for all of them? Does he have this victim mentality that just makes it poor little me? It just screams Balotelli to me. Why always me? These, victims lacking total self-awareness. So I don't believe this. I think it's an absolute crock of shit. I think this is maybe Sancho's agent trying to get some sort of information into the ether about how he's been unfairly treated, and everyone actually hates Ten Hag. What I've heard is Sancho wants a loan move because he's trying to out-survive Ten Hag. I read reports that he's looking to wait for Ten Hag to get fired if the form doesn't pick up, and then he might get another chance under a new manager, and then Anthony might be, cast to the side. What I can say is the goalkeeper is Ten Hag's guy. One of the left backs is Ten Hag's guy. The centre back is Ten Hag's guy. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I think, can be very grateful for the upturn in form, the coaching he's received, and his route back into the first team. So I would say Wan-Bissaka is a Ten Hag guy. Amrabat is a Ten Hag guy. Casemiro is a Ten Hag guy. Now, Casemiro might have love for Cristiano, but he's been doing pretty well and beating his chest and scoring pretty well for United post Ronaldo. Okay. Anthony is Ten Hag's guy. Højlund is Ten Hag's guy. Garnacho has been brought into the first team by Ten Hag. Pellistri has been brought into the first team by Ten Hag. Kobe Mainu is going to be brought into the first team by Ten Hag. And Mejbri is being brought into the first team by Ten Hag. So tell me what players remain there that would be anti-Ten Hag, that he's lost that dressing room. Just do the numbers in your own head. Are 7 or 8, 9, 10 players who've all been allowed to put the Manchester United crest on their chest because of that man, or continued in the team because of better coaching like Wan-Bissaka, are going to magically turn against Ten Hag? It is absolute bullshit. These are the same people that are screaming blue murder that Harry Maguire's been dropped. He's great for England. He's a great player. He's been shite for United, okay? He did all right in the last couple of games, and I'm delighted for him. If he does well, United do well, I'm all up for it. But this is a crock of bollocks. I wouldn't listen to it, so don't give it any mind. But it's in the news, so I'm going to tell you guys about it. What do you think? Leave it a note in the comments. Do you think it's bullshit? Do you think it's true? What do you reckon? So it's not just the Daily Mirror reporting on this garbage. It's also Football 365, a reputable website. I look at a lot. It's a very nice website. It's a very good website, well researched, great journalists. They're putting up the story as well. Listen, it's a bit of clickbait. I wouldn't pay it much mind, to be honest. I think it's a crock of shit. So Kobe Mainu, the new kind of midfield dynamo that was playing very, very well in preseason. I was desperately disappointed to see him go off in that Real Madrid game with an injury. Looks like he has been delayed in his return. There is a friendly, an indoor friendly, apparently being organized between United. I think it's Barnsley. And he was deemed, or he was due to return to that game just to get his fitness back up. So a behind closed doors friendly against Barnsley on Tuesday. Ten Hag hopeful that Mainu could feature alongside Reguilon and Varane. Other players coming back from injury. It looks like Kobe Mainu won't be risked, and I'm all for that. We've rushed players back before, and it's not done them any favors. And it's happened with Lisandro Martinez. I think it may have happened with Varane. So the last thing we need is to add an extra month on his recovery because we tried to speed him up by a week or two. It's the international break. There's no major football on. There's no point risking him in a friendly against Barnsley. Be nice to get his fitness up, but if there's any doubts that game could aggravate it, this game is supposed to be improving players, not putting them at risk. It's a smart move on Ten Hag's part, and I certainly hope that he comes back nice and quick, and he's brought back in the right way. So when he does come back, he stays back. But yeah, a little bit of bad news, but nothing to get overly worried about. So in terms of takeover message, I said this earlier on with regards to the takeover. Sheikh Jassim sends blunt message to Glazers. So it's all very kind of final, isn't it? So we can see here that, you know, it's been on sale for a year, blah, blah, blah. Sheikh Jassim is wanting to complete a full takeover, while Ratcliffe is said to be open to a minority stake. Ratcliffe knows he's beaten when it comes to money. It's not, I'm sure it's not a situation he's used to being in, being a billionaire, but when you're in a knife fight with another billionaire, your billions don't really count for much. And Sheikh Jassim has more billions than Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So I think Ratcliffe is trying to box clever here, and he's just trying to find any which way possible to be involved with the club. I think he knows if he's going to go for a full-scale takeover, he's going to lose. And he's just trying to play up to what the Glazers want. Do you want a nice fat chunk of cash and still retain control of the club? You get the best of both worlds. I can see why it would be an attractive option for the Glazers. And it says here, journalist Ben Jacobs has claimed Sheikh Jassim's camp have told the Glazers, you either give us everything or we're walking away, amid frustration around the length of the takeover saga. Listen, men with this amount of money are not used to not getting what they want precisely when they want it. So we've got three groups of very rich men all trying to measure their dicks and trying to get as much as they can for as little as they can, as quick as they can. And the Glazers have all the chips. They have the club. They've got enough money. They just want to make sure they get lots of money. These guys want the trinket. They want the shiny thing. They want the thing they don't have. The Glazers want more of what they have, which is money. But Ratcliffe and Sheikh Jassim want something that they don't have, and that is the club. So all the chips are in the Glazers' hands, and they know that. So they're playing their hand as best they can to get as much as they can. Now, Ratcliffe has recently received a windfall from his Formula One stake in the Mercedes team. He got 75 million in dividends from his stake in the Mercedes team. That is the equivalent of you or I finding a crisp £50 note in our jacket pocket that we forgot about. A not insignificant amount of money. It's not going to change our lives, but it it might buy a round or two and get a couple of scratch cards and whatever. So 75 million, is that going to make much of a dent in terms of what he needs to buy United? I don't think he was waiting on a 75 million now in order to make his big move. But anyway, they included it in the article, which I thought was kind of funny. So yeah, looks like the Sheikh and his team are getting impatient, but I mean, sure, listen, this story's been circulating for about 6 months. If they want it, they'll get it. It's just a matter of how long they're willing to wait and how much they're willing to pay. It's going to happen eventually. So let's see how things develop there. In transfer news, United are interested in signing Benfica wonder kid Antonio Silva. There's been lots of wonder kids. If you saw my video this morning, we're connected with two Brazilian wonder kids as well, Loran and Luis Guilherme. Two 19-year-olds based in Brazil. Well, they could be younger, actually. It could be even 17-year-olds. One is 17, one is 19. But I get confused because one is playing for the under-17s and the other is playing for the under-20s. But they could actually be the same age. Just the guy who's playing under-20s is that bloody good. So I always get confused about their ages. But yeah, this young lad looks like to be pretty serious operator. Antonio Silva, playing for Benfica, 19 years of age, and he's probably one of the most sought-after youngsters in the game at the moment. He helped take his club forward a lot last year. I don't know if he won the league with Benfica or whether it was the other lad, Goncalo Ignacio, for Sporting Lisbon. But there's basically two fantastically talented young centre-halves, one for Sporting, one for Benfica, both of whom are being tracked closely by United. Record now claimed that United do hold an interest in the teenager, but he is not dazzled by the prospect of moving to the Premier League. Instead, he holds Real Madrid in high regard and considers them as the greatest among European clubs. So apparently, Madrid are also interested in him, and he's happy to stay with Benfica and wants to become captain. So he's not going to force a move away, but United could be in for him next summer. He's been a very, very important player for Benfica, playing at the heart of their defense. So he completed 94% of his passes, 3.4 tackles, 6.1 duels, alongside 4 clearances. He just seems to be getting better and better and better and is playing far beyond his years. So a player that a lot of clubs are very interested in, but he seems happy enough where he is to continue his development. He's 19. He's playing week in, week out. He's a very important player. If he goes to United, is he going to be playing every game? Probably not. So I understand these young lads not being overly impatient and wanting to move when they have a good thing going on and they still have many years remaining in their career and they're just getting started, really. But yeah, interesting to see what can happen there. The other player is Goncalo Ignacio. So it looks like United are also interested in this player, but so are Newcastle, but their scouts have been scared off him because he doesn't have enough competition and things like that. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Sun Sport exclusively revealed United were stepping up their interest in Ignacio following injuries to Lisandro Martinez, and obviously with Varane being so injury prone as well. His contract doesn't run out until 2026, meaning there's a buyout clause of £52 million. But to be honest, that seems to be the going rate for young players nowadays. And at least their sell-on value, their value could increase if they do improve. If they don't, their youth still holds a huge amount of value in terms of their transfer fee. So as long as you're selling a player who's basically under the age of 26, 27, you're still going to get probably at least 50 to 60% of what you paid for them. So 52 million quid for a kid that could, do very well. It's typically worth a punt. So United sent a scout to Lisbon and has been told to closely monitor their Portuguese international. He's the youngest ever Portuguese international to play at a World Cup. So breaking records for Portugal at a very, very young age. He seems to be kind of the next great Portuguese defender to be coming through the ranks. And he made a senior debut in 2020. So that's 3 years ago. So he was the age of 19. He's made 130 appearances so far in the Portuguese capital. And he scored 11 goals. So he's roughly kind of looking at around, 1 goal every 10, 12 games. So you're looking at a centre half that can score 4 or 5 goals a season for you. I'll take that. That's great. If you got someone that can bang in a few goals every season. People thought Harry Maguire would be able to do that with his big fat head, but he just really wasn't able to do it. So we've got other people linked to the club in the guise of Antonio Silva, who we just spoke about, Jean-Claire Todibo, who's currently at Nice, Edmund Tapsoba, who is currently at Bayer Leverkusen. They're a little bit older. Jean-Claire Todibo about 23, Tapsoba I believe is 24. But yeah, still young and still players that, in the case of Todibo and Tapsoba, they probably should have fulfilled their potential at this stage. And it's just about smoothing out those corners now to become kind of the peak player you can as a centre half between 25 and 30 or even 32. But Newcastle seem to have kind of, I suppose, withdrawn their huge amount of excitement in the player, saying that he's too expensive and they're not willing to put up a fight for him. A big part of Ignacio's minimal development in the last few terms is said to be due to a lack of competitive context. So he doesn't really have much competition in the club to keep him kind of striving to get better and better. And the 19-time Primeira Liga champions have dominated Portuguese football for decades and are known for producing kind of huge legends at the club like Ronaldo and Figo. But according to Newcastle scouts, Ignacio has not been blessed with the sporting magic. But former under-23s Lions coach Lionel Pontes disagrees. Of course he does. He wants to get as much money for them as possible. He's going to back his fellow countrymen. But he seems to think that this guy's the nuts. And he's going to be able to fulfill every bit of promise that he has shown in those early years. So that is pretty much it for now in terms of takeover news. So we have stuff on Mason Greenwood, Kobe Mainoo's return, the takeover, transfer latest. Thank you very, very much for joining me. I hope you liked the new setup. I hope it kind of gives you guys the news that you want as quickly as possible and makes it as easy for me to be able to do that. But listen, thank you very much for tuning in. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.